All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA Show. So what I'm going to call this podcast is I sometimes live my life as if no one exists. Now, I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people. Of course, I know people, they exist, especially my girlfriend, my family members, my kids, everybody. And I know I get people exist and everybody around me and how it all affects my life. But what I've really been able to do, and maybe you want to try this, is kind of blocking out everything. I think a lot of times we think if I block this out, it could be whatever. I don't know if it's your husband or wife, or if I block my kids out, or if I block this out at work, I could just get through this day or get through this situation. It's kind of a blocking type thing, right? We're blocking everybody because they're aggravating you. I don't know if you heard my other previous podcast. I did one called Stop Letting People Aggravate You, or Why Do We Let People Aggravate Us? Something in that nature. We give so many people so much credit, or give them too much power to kind of, I don't want to say destroy our life, but just kind of make our lives miserable. And we don't know how to get out of it sometimes. And I get if you're married to somebody who's making you nuts, maybe it's time to end it. You may have kids, and we can't escape our kids or siblings that are all that stuff. I get it. I talk about it all the time. But I think there does come a time, and I was really good at this, which also blew up in my face. I'm not going to lie about this. So as much as it worked for me, as much as it fucked me. So I'm going to go both ways with this. And it was like when I wanted to get something done, so when I wanted to make films, I used to go around and say the world can blow up. It wouldn't affect the next day of my shooting. Like I was so zoned in on that. And I just didn't let anything else get in the way of me getting it done. If you've ever made a film, it's crazy because you have to control every aspect of your environment, from the way they talk to the wardrobe to the location to the lighting to everything. It's very intense. And when you hear like budgets cost millions of dollars to make films, it's because it's very strategic. You have to get so much done in such a short amount of time, or else it never gets done. And having too much time can blow up in your face. Also, not having enough time can blow up in your face. But I had to zone in. I had to just focus in like beyond that I've ever focused in my life. And, after doing that for a while, then when I went to writing my books, again, what I loved was a lot of times I'd write my books when I was on airplanes, because when I was on an airplane, for the most part, unless someone wants to talk to me next to me, but I would put headphones in, most likely I wasn't even listening to anything, but I just wanted to make them think I was listening to something as I wrote, usually, or was, taking notes. But when I'm on the airplane, nothing exists except me getting from one destination to the other. I mean, you could go on Wi-Fi and sure do all these things, watch movies and stuff. But if you don't do those things, it's just you sitting there. You can't do anything but sit there on an airplane. So it's like all the things going on in the outside world, if you just don't even watch TV and you don't go on Wi-Fi, the only thing you know is what you just left, right? You don't even have any other information. So I learned from that as well, and then I've slowly but incorporated that in my life as I went forward. When it came to creating my programs, even my YouTube stuff, podcast, is I don't get caught up with anything outside distracting me from what I wanted to do. Even if you watch any of my YouTube videos, they're not the greatest, but I can walk in anywhere. I don't care if it's a mall, a restaurant, coffee house. I'll just do whatever I feel like doing. Again, I don't get caught up with any other bullshit. I think in this day and age, what's happening, and I see it happening to me, which if I'm seeing it happening, I'm like, wow, because I'm really good at zoning out. I think I mastered that going to school. I despised teachers. It was my own fault. Not that teachers were wonderful. I just despised listening to them. I was bored. I wasn't interested in what they were teaching. I can look at somebody for 45 minutes, talk to me, and I won't have any idea what one word they said to me, because in my mind, I'm only thinking about what I want to think about. I'm only doing in my head what I want to do, so I'm kind of living a fantasy. I don't know what that is. I don't know if I'm a master, I always get a daydreamer. I think it's almost like that. But then when it came to sports or other things or working out or other, I can really zone in where it works for me, because I can block everything out and zone in on what I want. So then when I'm officially doing what I want, I can zone in, I can focus in. But my weakness is I kind of jump all over the place on projects. So I've got to be doing 2, 3 things. I'm not always great at just saying one thing. Even if I'm making a movie, I'm writing another movie. I'm just saying, and then I'm writing another pitch for something else. I'm too much of that. But I am going to say, if you do start mastering, blocking everything out and just focusing in on what you want to do and not letting social media distract you, the news, your friends, family members, everybody else distract you, making you feel a certain way. I don't care if it's political or religious or you got to go do this, you always got to do that. All this shit to say, go fuck yourselves. This is what I'm doing. I'm so sorry I don't accommodate everybody else there. And I get if you're in a relationship, you got to accommodate to a certain degree. If you got kids, you got to accommodate them. But you got to realize, too, if you're constantly accommodating everybody, what are you getting accomplished? What are you getting done? That's where the self-centeredness kind of comes in with me. But throw that aside. I think what happened with me, though, I mastered that so much when I went too far with it now, blocking everybody out. It affected, say, my marriage. It affected even my relationships with even possibly my parents, friends even. Everything, because I was so obsessed back to making movies at one point in time that I didn't even realize what else was going around me besides just my kids' lives. So I just really focused in on two things: my kids' lives, me making movies, nothing else. Not my relationship, not even caring about what anybody else was doing. Again, blocking it all out so I can move forward and get done what I have to get done. And not that I'm you hear these musicians or these athletes or these people or even CEOs or whatever, you hear them talk about how, how they want to apologize a lot of times to their family members and friends, colleagues and everybody, because to get to the level that you want to get to, a lot of times you make so many sacrifices and you miss out on so many other things. But, that's just life in general. You got to kind of figure out what you want. And if you're not happy with what you want, or you're not getting what you want out of life, you got to figure it out one way or another. I think what happened with me is, I was so focused in that I got done what I wanted to get done. It's never going to be at the level I wanted to be at, but I did get it done. Now that I look back at it, but at what price? Would I have changed anything? At this point, no. But if you are somebody that is kind of just, how do I say this? If you want to get shit done, it may be time to just stop also commiserating and getting caught up. I don't care if it's texts, emails, social media, sending, messages, posts. Just kind of go back to the basics and get done what you have to get done. Don't let others distract you. Don't let all this outside noise stop you from getting, to where you want to be. And a lot of people, and I talk about this a lot, they are always talking about why they can't, get to where they need to be. It's always, it's because they're married, or it's because, again, their job, or it's because of their setbacks and all this shit. Figure out a way on how to get there. And one of the ways I believe to get there is getting rid of a lot of this outside noise and nonsense. If you look at a lot of your life, what you talk about, what you're doing in general, is really a lot of bullshit. If it's not giving you what you want, why do you keep doing it? And I'm kind of going through that even with social media, with all my material. It could be my YouTube, podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these places, right? And I have to say, sometimes more also is whack. It is not good. It's not better always. Sometimes you think, I got to be on every social media platform, then everybody gets to hear me. Well, I'd actually, now that doing this for a long time, I'd rather be on one social media platform where I have a massive following, or I have a better following and it gets me the results I desire, than having 10 platforms and it's not really giving me what I want. So that could be your life as well. Less is more, I talk about a lot of times, but again, just kind of living your life, and I hate to say it, I'll go back to it, like nothing else exists. Maybe no one else exists. Of course you know they're there and you're there for them, but just slowly but surely, just kind of more focusing in on specifics, what you want and what you desire and your needs. I think it'll go a long way. But I just think a lot of people, they can't live like that. They have to be commiserating, talking to other people, gossiping, commenting on stupid posts, becoming very political, becoming whatever they're doing. If it's not making your life better, what the hell are you doing? But If you like to live in misery, or you like to be aggravated, or you like stress, or you like not to accomplish what you want to accomplish, or you like using excuses, that's cool too. I get it. I do that sometimes too, but I think just kind of becoming more self-aware that if you just, for certain times, it could be an hour a day, just saying nothing else exists except what I want to do. A lot of people can't do it. They'll jump on their computer. They're like, hey, I'm going to write a book. They'll last 15, 20 minutes. They jump back on social media. Then they'll text their friend. Then they'll make a phone call. There are just so many distractions out there that it's almost overwhelming. And back to the airplane, I kind of, when I need to do things, it could be even doing my podcast, I have to pretend nothing else exists except me creating this podcast. That's how I do it. That's what works for me. There's no way I could do this if I was in a room where, everybody's talking to me, or I'm receiving messages, or I got to answer an email, call someone back. So I'm just using myself as an example. But I have a lot of people that say, Rich, I want to start my own podcast. I'm like, start it. Well, I got to do this first, and I got to meet up with this, and then I got to go buy this, and then I don't know, I got to set this up. And then even when they do start it, then they last a month or two, and then they're like, oh man, I got this took over, and then I had to go do this. I'm kind of like, again, you want that distraction, right? And if you want it, you want it. But all right, take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.